a thing that's happened last week that we have got to get to, and it really revolves around a bigger story, not just with this team, and the team we'll be talking about is the San Diego Padres, who, for my money, they may be the most exciting team in all of Major League Baseball right now. Just phenomenal play right now. I think they are now winners of 6 or is it 7 straight games, I believe. They have the longest win streak in baseball. I think the other teams with the long win streaks, the Toronto Blue Jays, another really young, really exciting team, and the San Francisco Giants, which who'd have thunk it?
You're right.
But the Padres have been one of the biggest stories in baseball over the last week, and it has to do with what happened against the Texas Rangers last week. The first game of that 4-game home-and-home series. Fernando Tatis Jr., as we've already said, the most exciting player maybe in all of baseball right now, comes up with the bases loaded. They're up 7-0. The count is 3 balls and no strikes. Apparently, manager Jace Tingler said take. He puts the take sign on. Either Tatis didn't see it, Tatis ignored it, whatever it was, he
Pitch
swung.
was too juicy.
It was just too juicy. It's just had to eat that thing up and just launch it for a grand slam. And if you're watching us, you can see the picture. Eric Hosmer, you could actually see him going, "Oh, no. I got to tell you, don't do that, man. Like, it's okay. Like, we're up big now, but you can't do that." And I think there was even another angle. There was a video of Manny Machado on the on-deck circle, and he, like, puts his hands to his head. Not in a happy way, but just like, oh, man, why'd you do that? Now I'm going to wear it. I'm going to get a pitch, in the buttocks or something. And it's definitely opened up an interesting dialogue about the unwritten rules of baseball, which there are 2 perspectives here. One I've been hearing is, you know why the unwritten rules of baseball are unwritten? Because when you write them down, they sound stupid. They're ridiculous.
Yes.
The other side of it is, well, the unwritten rules of baseball kind of are why I like baseball. They're one of the quirks of baseball. It's what makes this game stand out from the other sports. I see a little bit of both. I lean more towards the who cares, the guy can play, don't throw a meatball on 3-0.
Right.
But there is still a kind of a part of me that sees both, but I am going to side, I think, with Tatis in that, a couple days later, I think we saw the Toronto Blue Jays were down 7-0 and staged a comeback to win that game. So if you want to say the game was over anyway, but isn't the whole point of baseball is that no game is ever over? Like, it could be the 9th inning and nobody out and you're down 10-0, but you still got a shot, right?
Well, I mean, and I know it's a team sport, but you add 4 RBIs and another home run to your statistics, and you become a free agent. And maybe this year somehow he probably won't. But let's just say he gets to 100 RBIs, but he gets it because he was 3 away and he did that on that game. That's a big thing when you're in discussing of contracts. You'd be like, well, 5 straight years he had 100 RBIs. So those are you take away the unwritten rule, these guys still have to earn. Tatis doesn't know if he's going to be good for 20 years, for 10, 15 years or whatnot.
Get your money.
So you got to get your money. I mean, you got to go out there and play your best. I don't think you could turn it off. I mean, I played video games with some of my friends, and I would if they were beating me, I didn't want them to throw an interception, if they're playing basketball to take out LeBron, or I want them to continue to play. And I think that's like the whole point of the game is to continue to play. And look at the Giants. They lost 7-2 in the 9th. They lost that game to the A's not too long ago. So you never know what could happen in baseball. And to just kind of be like, well, I'm just going to try to strike out or take a walk because we're up so much. It's like, come on.
Yeah, to me, it's the one thing I've always subscribed to as a fan is don't play not to lose.
Right.
Play to win. Playing it safe is just going to, a lot of times it comes and bites back at you. To put on my sports fan hat right now, that's always something that as a 49er fan, when Jim Harbaugh was the coach, as much success as there was, one of the most frustrating things was he would always play not to lose, go for the field goal or go for something or say, oh, we're fine right now, or, punt it when maybe they could have gone for it. He did that a lot when and it really became very frustrating. Whereas if you play to win, you take some more risks. Sure, it's going to be riskier, or in this case, if he could swing at that and he didn't need to swing at it, maybe they would win 7-2 anyway. But the next day, I think the Padres hit a grand slam and we're up 6-0 in that game. The final score was 6-4. That became a close game. So you just got to keep playing. I feel like this is such a simple concept to a lot of people. Like, yeah, no doubt, you got to keep playing to win. And yet here we are in baseball arguing over that very idea. And it's look, baseball.
I think it would be more blatantly obvious if you see it when a team's up 11-2 or 12-2, or you see the guys come in. You see Tatis go to the bench and whoever his replacement's coming in to play the rest of the game now. It wasn't that kind of situation yet. So it's like, why would if it's an unwritten rule, then why doesn't the manager get flack for, you should have pulled Tatis then, right?
Yeah.
So, Tatis is just told to play the game, and he's going to play the game the way he plays the game.
Yeah, and I think just really, it was interesting to hear some of the comments. Obviously, the Padres manager, Jace Tingler, said, we're going to talk to him. I think even Eric Hosmer said, we're going to talk to him, but at the same time, like, it's a game. Like, we're going to, you see a pitch like that, and sometimes you can't help yourself. Like, you want to win. And I think...
I'm sure Manfred was fine with it.
Exactly. We were all talking about baseball in the middle of NBA playoffs starting, Stanley Cup playoffs starting, football is right around the corner, and ESPN was talking about the unwritten rules of baseball. They were talking about Fernando Tatis Jr. So you could talk all about how, he's bad for the game, that's bad to do that. We were talking about baseball when baseball needs to be talked about in the midst of so much other stuff going on in sports, and people were focused on the San Diego Padres, what was happening. And then to make matters even crazier, you could see the graphic on the screen if you're watching us, that they went 4 straight games with a grand slam, which is a major league record. I think that 3 straight games tied the record, which was set by the Cleveland Spiders in 1895. I mean, when you have to go back to the 19th century.
Is that when Mashed Potato Johnson was pitching?
Exactly. Mashed Potato Johnson. He was pitching with Six-Toed Jeremiah or something. You've done something special when you're going back that far. And I think the Padres saw that. They took it as fuel, the reaction by the Rangers across Major League Baseball. And I think, frankly, a lot of fans who I saw very few opinions that were like, Tatis is absolutely in the wrong here. Almost every opinion, the much outspoken Trevor Bauer that we've mentioned was totally in support of him, saying you got to pitch to win. Don't throw a meatball on 3-0. Maybe we need to change the way we deal with 3-0 pitches instead of, giving them something right down the middle, expecting they're going to take. Maybe, play with the corners a little bit more. Make it a little harder for these guys.
Or walk the best player on the team,
exactly.
When you have that kind of, like, when you're behind. And one of the other things, too, about the unwritten rules is I go back to when Braden and A-Rod had the thing going on. Are we sure that everybody knows the unwritten rules? Like, are we we're just assuming these guys know that? I mean, if you rewind that, you had Dallas Braden pitching for the A's and you had A-Rod on the Yankees, and I believe it was a double play ball where A-Rod, I think, ran from first and he had to go across the field to go to his own dugout, which he was probably thinking about the at-bat, or he was probably thinking about the next strategy or whatever. And he's just running head down to go to the dugout. He doesn't think about stepping on a mound. And then all of a sudden he gets berated by Braden. And you could see it was literally like, what? Like, he didn't even know what he did, Yeah. So it's like, Braden, you don't step on a pitcher's mound. And, he didn't know that. To me, his reaction was not like, I'm going to do this maliciously and step on your mound. It was like, I'm just thinking about baseball. I'm running to the dugout, and I guess I stepped on your mound. I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah. So much of it is I think there's 2 factors. One is youth, that there's a lot of really young players right now, a lot of really good young players, more than I can remember in a long time, that are playing in Major League Baseball right now. And they play the game different. They watched guys play the game a little differently than sort of the old school style of play that, the 2 guys I always think of as sort of the gatekeepers of the way that baseball should be played. Brian Mccann, who's now retired, and Madison Bumgarner are 2 of those guys who are like, you're not doing it the way I want you to do it.
Right.
And 2, it can't be ignored, is the cultural difference. That players from Latin American countries, from Asian countries, they play the game differently. And you said the unwritten rules are unwritten, so some guys don't know those rules, or guys playing in Cuba or Korea have different unwritten rules.
Well,
you know?
and Puig even spoke to that by saying when he was being scouted, and this was kind of the whole area he was in, was the scouts aren't going there to see you hit singles. You're swinging at everything. You're out there swinging at everything because you want to show how far you can hit that ball to these scouts that come over, and then hopefully they bring you back and make your dream come true. You're not out there bunting. You're not out there trying to get sacrifice hits and doing what baseball rules are. You're out there hitting home runs in Latin America. So, like you said, you spoke exactly to it, where it's a cultural difference. And that's how these guys make their dream come true. So when they get into the American League, they're going to try to do the same thing. That's just how they were brought up. So Bumgarner, I love him as a Giants fan, and he was great. But you know what? If a guy flips a bat a little bit when he hits a home run, he's just proud of his accomplishment. It's not him kicking you while you made a mistake. And I think that's what the unwritten rules supposed to be, is like, don't kick me because I made a mistake. Well, no, I'm happy that I made a great play, and that's why I'm flipping the bat. I'm happy for myself. I'm happy for my team.
Yeah, and if you want to say, well, all the batters get to have all the fun, well, look at what Trevor Bauer's doing right now in Cincinnati. Like, he walks off the mound, he struts, have fun with it. Like, and maybe some guys are going to get mad, but I think 10, 15 years down the road, it's going to be different. Guys are going to – I would love to see it. I know there's old school baseball fans who maybe don't want to see that, but I think that in a way, too, it's kind of working. I saw some ratings numbers come out, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, so I apologize if I get a little wrong, but I saw that the demographics that have taken a huge spike is the audience under the age of 35 or 40, which is exactly the audience baseball has been trying so desperately to get and to become interested in the game. And I think if you have more guys like Tatis, and for him to do the crying emoji when the other Grand Slam got hit.
Right in the culture.
Exactly. Some people are going to see that as disrespect, but I think there's a younger culture that's going to put that on Twitter. They're going to retweet it. They're going to meme it. They're going to, whatever they're going to do with it, they're going to put it all over the internet, and they're going to be like, man, this guy's fun. Look at him just stunting on him. I love it. This is great.
And if you break it down into percentages, average pitchers win, the at bat 70% of the time. That's actually below average.
Yeah.
Great pitchers are winning 80 to 90% of the time. So as a hitter, the best hitters are going to win 30% of the time, bat 300. So you're not getting all that many opportunities to flip your bat, to win a game, to do a walk-off. You know what I mean? So you go through a lot of strikeouts and flyouts and groundouts and double plays before you can actually have some of those successful plays. And if that, especially if the guys maybe went 1 for 25 and he hits a walk-off, he's pretty excited. He broke out the slump. There's brighter days ahead. So
have fun. It's a game. I think I've got the quote up from Fernando Tatis. The game is hard for everyone. Why not just celebrate and have fun?
Absolutely.
That's what it comes down to. It's a game. Let's have fun. There's kids watching. You're not being, you're not being crazy disrespectful.
No.
I would rather have that than big brawls. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I would much rather have that. And, some people might say that doing that leads to big brawls, but I don't know. Let's grow some thicker skin. Let's have fun. It's just a game at the end of the day. And really, if there's any year that should really be magnified, it's this year. This is a game where people are having a hard time and people want to have an escape and enjoy things. And Fernando Tatis and the Padres are bringing a lot of people a lot of joy right now. So
Absolutely.
let's enjoy it.
Let's enjoy it.
And I think Fernando Tatis is also bringing a lot of joy to people who own his card right now, as they see that number just climb and climb and climb. I don't have the exact number, but I did see, I think over the weekend there was another record-setting auction of one of his cards, if I'm not mistaken. I think one of his cards sold for a crazy amount over the weekend.
Yep.
So just continuing to be one of the best investments really in the hobby right now.
And one of the things I did want to mention that I didn't mention during the Bowman Transcendent segment, once again, Bowman Transcendent does come out this week. Topps has not previewed what they're going to have in there, but every case is going to have a Bowman buyback. So you open that up. There could be a Trout 2009 Bowman in there. There could be a Tatis. Actually, the Tatis is probably a better possibility than the Trout. So that could be another crazy chase, and I'm going to be anxious to see who they put on that checklist if they do. So along with all the regular Transcendent cases, they're putting first Bowman buybacks in the Transcendent case as well. So there may be one of these crazy Tatis. There may be one of these Vlads or some of these up and coming stars that are doing really well in baseball, and you do have a shot at getting one of their first Bowmans in the Bowman Trend Center.
Yeah, it is Fernando Tatis Jr.'s world, and it feels like we're all just living
I know
in
it's.
it right
I feel
now.
like he's so quickly become the face of
crazy.
baseball, and I know he's not Trout, maybe not Harper yet, but like that is the guy that's leading off when they talk about baseball on SportsCenter and all these other outlets. It's Tatis, and I feel like San Diego hasn't had that kind of guy since maybe Tony Gwynn.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Tony Gwynn would be that last sort of transcendent player. And I think a big part of it has to do with why are we not talking, Trout's been doing amazing things for the last 10 years now. But the fact is personality matters when it comes to marketing. And, I think I've been I've been very outspoken about the way MLB doesn't do a very good job of promoting their players. But also sometimes a guy just pops off the screen like Tatis, where he's got the swag, he's got the smile, he's got the personality, and on top of it all, he's got incredible talent. Where he markets himself, like it's just easy, and ESPN wants to latch onto that. So it's really exciting to see.
And
a guy
we'll
like
see
that
how
right
many
now.
guys start having blonde dreads, right? I mean,
Yes.
because you've seen the pitchers. It seemed like it was overnight that every pitcher started having long hair after that. After the bets, the whole staff had long hair at one point, right? And obviously Madison Bumgarner's had long hair.
Yeah, Tim Lincecum, of course.
Lincecum, and now it seems like every up and coming pitcher has long hair. So it'd be interesting to see these Latin guys and some of these guys that play like Tatis start doing the dreads, the blonde, the flash, because it's a copycat league, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, before we wrap things up, let's quickly go over just what are we looking forward to in the second half? Who are the teams that you expect to jump up? Who are the teams that maybe have surprised and maybe I think are going to come down a little bit? I'll start off with one team that I think this is a really pivotal moment for them. It's the Philadelphia Phillies. They just made one of the first big trades of the season. I believe they acquired Brandon Workman and Heath Hembry from the Red Sox to fortify their bullpen. And then they blew it. Those two, I believe Workman was part of them blowing another game from the bullpen. So it's kind of a mess right now with Philadelphia. Bryce Harper's having a great season, but they really need to step it up. There's way too much talent on that team to go another year with Harper there with more disappointment. I know it's a 60-game season, but to me, that would be a huge failure with 8 spots to take in the playoffs. If the Phillies can't take one of those, it's going to be a tough offseason in Philadelphia, and I think you're going to see some changes in the front office.
And you mentioned that. I think we got about 4 or 5 more days to the trade deadline. So this is a very, very interesting year for that fact. And I know we talked about this last week, but our team's going to be willing to give up some of these big name prospects in this kind of season. Our teams that are in the cellar willing to trade their number one guy for prospects down the line. Especially with the way the draft went, where there was less rounds. So that's what I'm going to be kind of focusing on, especially for the first Bowmans, because it's always a bummer when you have a guy that's on one team, he gets traded, now his first Bowman card is on the other teams, and we see that with like Gleyber Torres and Fernando Tatis and pictured in the White Sox uni. So I'm kind of watching that and see if and now my team, the Giants, may make a move or two. Maybe they're buyers now because they're only a couple games out of the playoff or the wild card. So, not one team stands out for me. I obviously want to see more Tatis, but I'm following this trade deadline just to see in this wacky year what becomes of it.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the strangest trade deadlines ever. It's a strange season, but on top of it all, you mentioned a team like the Giants that, a week ago they were dead in the water. They were done. And now suddenly they are, I believe, with this new playoff format, they are right there in the wild card spot. I think like the 7th or 8th spot.
Yeah.
So who'd have thunk it? But they seemed like a perfect candidate to trade like a Johnny Cueto, who seemed like, oh man, and what team? A team like the Yankees that has had pitching trouble, a team like the Washington Nationals, who just had to put Steven Strasburg on the DL to end the season, or the IL, excuse me. It would really benefit from a guy like Johnny Cueto there. But when the Giants are 2 games below 500 and in that wild card spot, do you want to trade him? Do you maybe wait till next year? I think he's got another year on his contract. Do you wait till next year when maybe you can get a bigger haul for him? It's a strange time. It's going to be one of the craziest trade deadlines, or could be one of the quietest trade deadlines ever, because I think a lot of teams are going to, like the Baltimore Orioles are in it right now. Who would have ever thought that would be the case? And you would think maybe 3 or 4 years down the road, but they are right in the thick of it right now, sitting at 500.
And they've got prospects. I believe Mountcastle might have just gotten called up, but you know, Rushman's probably a few years away. Let's hope that, you know, as an Oil fan or somebody that's out there that's an Oil fan, I mean, Rushman isn't involved in any of these trade conversations, but you never know. You know, if you can get some huge name in order to move Rushman and maybe you compete, you know, it's tough. It's at least going to be considered, but, you know, I mean, they're probably not going to move a first overall pick for somebody, but, you know, you never know. These guys have deep farm systems.
Yeah. So right off the top of your head, before we go, your quick World Series prediction as we are now entering the second half. Who do you got? Has it changed from the beginning of the season? It's a little bit different. What's your World Series pick as of today?
Oh, man. You know, I think the Dodgers, as much as I hate to say this as a Giants fan, I still think the Dodgers are going to do it. I mean, the way Mookie's been playing, I feel like maybe Mookie was the missing piece to that already great lineup that, you know, if some of the other guys are going to be cooling off, that you still have Mookie Betts to not only play awesome defense, but hit a couple home runs a game. And I think I'm still going for the Dodgers, and I think I'm starting to kind of feel the A's. I think we might have a 1990, 30-year anniversary. 88. Sorry, 32 years. There was the Reds in 90.
Yep.
But a Dodgers A's World Series might be kind of crazy, where you have a team that's filled with superstars on one side and big contracts, and then you have Billy Ball and, a bunch of guys that are just great teammates and have great chemistry to go against this juggernaut of a payroll team.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers, to me, are the slam dunk choice, no doubt. Just so much good talent. The fact that Mookie Betts is maybe better than the Dodgers could have even hoped for is wild. The fact that Cody Bellinger has not even quite hit his stride yet. Yeah. Hit a couple of bombs over the weekend, but the fact that he has not even hit his stride maybe right now is a very scary thought. And you've got guys like Dustin May looks really good. Mm-hmm. Clayton Kershaw looks as good as he's looked in years. So, yeah, the Dodgers right now are on an unbelievable run. The A's are probably the way I'm leaning to as well, just because they're a team that has so many playoff struggles, but this is a year where things are going to happen fast. You get into the playoffs and you don't really have time to think about it, maybe like in years past or whatever it may be. And there's no one-game wild card, which is great news for them. You're at least going to have 3 shots. I think maybe the Yankees as well, once they get healthy, look out. The one I'm hoping for, though, and I saw them play over the weekend, the Cubs and the White Sox and all Chicago World Series is a very real possibility. I wouldn't be totally shocked to see a Cubs White Sox all Chicago World Series. I know they're talking about bubbles, having the playoffs in bubbles. And boy, if it's an all Chicago World Series, no need for it. You've got your Chicago bubble right there. So you're all set. No need to move anywhere.
And one of the funniest things I've seen all year, and I had to watch it about 5 times, was Luis Robert running from center field.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And Eloy Jimenez just knowing he was going to get the ball, not even moving an inch, and just getting a front row seat of Luis Robert making that play, and then just looking at him. You can't tell if he's angry or excited or just like, not again, and just the face he made to Luis Robert, who then giggled and threw the ball back in. It was just an absolute, just hilarious moment, and I had to keep watching it. And that team is fun to watch.
Yeah,
so
that's big, little brother, big brother energy right there. Mm-hmm. That's totally what that is. Luis Robert, just that big grin, I did it again. Nothing you can do about it. Yep. It was really funny. They're a fun team to watch.
And it wasn't like Eloy didn't trust him, because he didn't get behind him or anything, which in hindsight would have looked really bad if it would have bounced off his glove and Eloy was just standing there, but not backing him up, because I know as a baseball player, you always were taught to make sure you're in position if the ball bounces off the guy's glove. Yeah. But it was just a very funny and engaging moment there.
It would be a fun moment, and boy, I think baseball would be really excited if they got that kind of matchup in the World Series.